Alright guys, today we are doing a little bit more geometry review again. This time we're actually going to be solving some right triangles using Trig now that we have a calculator. So the first thing we need to do is we need to make sure we remember how to set up a triangle. So I'm going to start by labeling the triangle that I have with angles A, B, and C. And now what you guys need to remember is the large letters, the capital letters, are the angles. The lowercase letters are the sides across from that angle. So across from angle A is the little letter A, that side. Across from big angle B is the little letter B, and across from big angle C is the little letter C. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill in this triangle with the given information, and we're going to solve the triangle, which means we're going to find all of the missing parts. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in that side B is 5, and I know that angle B is 38 degrees. And now I'm going to use the information I have to find all of my missing parts. So the easiest thing to find at first is going to be the measure of angle A. So the measure of angle A, I know all three angles have to add up to 90 degrees. So all I have to do is 180 minus 90 minus 38 degrees, and I'm going to get that the measure of angle A is equal to 52 degrees. To find my missing sides, though, I'm going to use a little bit of trig. So the first thing I'm going to look at is I'm going to use the angle that I was originally given, this 38 degrees here. Now I know 5 is my opposite side, and we're going to solve the very first time, we're going to solve for the side next to it. I'm going to change that name to x. So I know the x with the 38 degrees is adjacent. So the two that I have are opposite and adjacent, which means that I'm going to use the function tangent. And I always set these up as the trig function and then the angle. So this is tangent 38 equals opposite over adjacent, which is 5 over x. Now there's a couple different ways you can solve this. What I always do is I write it as a ratio and then I cross multiply. So I get that 5 is equal to x times the tangent of 38 degrees. So to get x by itself, all I need to do is divide by the tangent of 38. And when I type that in my calculator, I'm going to get my answer. So I'm going to go to my calculator real quick. And I'm going to type in, can't remember what it was now, I believe it was 5 divided by the tangent of 38. I need to check my mode and make sure I'm in degrees. So whenever I'm solving these triangles, I'm always going to be in degrees. So I'm going to get a side length of about 6.4. So that is my side length. All right, if I were to solve instead, let's say I wanted to do this one and I wanted to solve for my C side. I'm still going to use the 38 degrees and the 5, but my C is the hypotenuse. So O and H, in order to solve for that one, I'm going to use the sine function. So it's going to be the sine of 38 is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. Now instead of cross multiplying, the other way I could solve this equation is I can multiply both sides by x. So my x's will cancel out on the right side. So I'm left with x times the sine of 38 is equal to 5. So to get x by itself, I'm going to divide by the sine of 38. So I would just go in my calculator and type in 5 divided by the sine of 38, and that's going to give me my last value. So I'm going to go to my calculator, and I'm going to type in 5 divided by the sine of 38, and I get a missing side of 8.12. So I had 6.4 and 8.12 as my missing sides. So this one was 6.4, and this one was 8.12. So if I look at these numbers, it actually makes a little bit of sense, because my smallest side needs to be across from my smallest angle. And my smallest angle is 38, my smallest side is 5. And then my biggest side, my hypotenuse, has to be my biggest number, and it is. It's 8.12. So if you're not sure, you can always kind of double check your reasoning a little bit to make sure the numbers you have make sense. Alright, now the last part we're going to do is we're going to take, whoops, did not mean to move that, we're going to take a triangle that has no angles given, and we're going to try and solve that one. So if I try to solve this triangle, I'm going to do it very similarly. I need to set up a trig ratio. But first I need to look at the information that I have. So if I look at the very start, I'm given this side and my hypotenuse. So let's solve for angle A first. So with angle A, my 4 is opposite and my 15 is hypotenuse. So that means the ratio that I'm using is sine. So sine, and then it's always written with an angle next to it. I don't know what the angle is, so I'm going to say the sine of A is equal to my opposite, which is 4, over my hypotenuse, which is 15. And if you guys remember from what we did yesterday, anytime you try to find an angle, I have to use inverse, which is the second button on your calculator. So I'm going to type this in my calculator as sine inverse 4 divided by 15. And as long as my mode's in radians, I'm going to get the right answer. So I'm going to double check this one. I'm going to go to my calculator, and I'm going to type in inverse sine of 4 divided by 15, and I get 15 degrees. So that is my missing side. Sorry, my missing angle and not my missing side. Now, if I wanted to find my missing side, there's a couple different things I could use. I could use trig again because I've already found one of my angles. But my other option is that I could just use the Pythagorean Theorem. So I know that, let's call this missing side x. X squared plus 4 squared has to equal 15 squared. And I can use the Pythagorean Theorem to solve for my missing side. So another little short day today, but hopefully this was just a little bit of geometry review for you guys. And that is it for new stuff until your next quiz.